What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics. Today we got a reaction to one of our patron River's top 10 albums of 2024. Now it's really albums 11 through 2 because album number 1 is going to get the full album reaction treatment next month. But appreciate River, appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below, the patron link on the end screen. We couldn't do it without the patrons. And if you haven't ever been with us before, the music won't be in the video, but it's going to be at that Vimeo link below, so you need to check that out. I have no upfront facts, right? There's no quick facts, no normal RTTC quick facts, because these are 10 albums. So the way we're going to do it is River will give the description of the album. I'll have some info. River's going to choose a song from that album because it's the only way to do it. It's a top 10 reaction, and I will react to that song and give you some info on it. So let's jump in. And we got Keeping Your Memory Alive by Tubring off the Last and First Men album. River says, a group I mainly know through Dog Fashion Disco and Polka Dot Cadaver. Tubring are an indie rock act I can't talk enough about. They're just a fun listen. If you enjoy Radiohead or Tom Waits, we have the whole Tom Waits catalog up minus its last album, and a lot of Radiohead. I would highly recommend them. I would recommend them highly, as their deep eccentricities make them a good listen. I found Tubring is a Chicago-based rock band. They were formed in 1992 by Jason Fields, Kevin Gibson, Chris Mouse, Blake, and Jeff Walker as a high school experimental rock band. After the passing of their manager, Lee Swanson, in 1994, the lineup changed and it took form with the addition of keyboardist Rob Kleiner. Kleiner spent his teenage years following around the band Mr. Bungle. With Kleiner added to the band, Tubring adopted a similar sound to that of Mr. Bungle. Mr. Bungle guitarist Trey Sprance took note of Kleiner's passion and creativity and ended up producing their first official full-length album, Drake Equation. Currently, they have 7 studio albums, this obviously being the 7th. All right, thanks again to River. I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Let's get it. All right, Keeping Your Memory Alive. Very intense lyrics, yet kind of, up with the whole arrangement of it, just kind of a whimsical arrangement, but he's waiting for her to come back, and I think she left without telling him, because at the very end, the last verse, uplifted tables and holes in the wall are waiting for you when you arrive. Your sin hasn't faded, I still can recall. Now it's keeping your memory alive. Yes, it's keeping your memory alive. A fun one and an interesting arrangement and subject matter. Next up, we got the song Suffocate by Knocked Loose off the You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To album, which would be River's number 10 album of the year. River says, hardcore band Knocked Loose I had to get used to. Their vocalists did not originally speak to me as much as other metal artists. It didn't sound as good as the screams or growls of other acts of a similar style. But I'm glad I heard this album. It's a wild ride from beginning to end. And I found they're an American hardcore punk rock band from Oldham County, Kentucky, formed in 2013 and signed to Pure Noise Records. You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To is their 3rd studio album. It's the band's first album to feature rhythm guitarist Nico Calderone. Australia went to 14, UK 43, US 23, some success in a lot of different places. But one of the places I like to look for album reviews is Metacritic, because as it sounds, meta, they take all the critical reviews that are available that they have access to, and they formulate them into a score up to 100. And this got an 87, which is insanely high. Pitchfork, a publication I actually do respect on they gave it an 8.0. This is the 3rd single. It does feature popping. All right, The Calm After the Storm. As crazy as this sounds, the song has the same subject matter as Keeping Your Memory Alive, the first song from Tubring, just in a way different arrangement, right? But it's the same thing because this person really, really messed them over, and they don't wish the best for him on Suffocate. Next up, we'll have the most commercially successful album on this list, I do believe, Lunch by Billie Eilish off Hit Me Hard and Soft. This is on my list. I didn't mention this. Trey and I put up a top 10 every year. It's an album draft, so kind of what you get, our cumulative top 10. We drafted up. We have one up from every year from 1965 to the current. So I have a bunch of 2024 albums I still need to listen to, and then we'll have that up on the channel probably the last week of December, or it might be the first week of January. But this is one of the albums on that list. River says, with every album Billie has released, I've been more and more impressed. Normally, pop music isn't really my jam, though I've been more open as I got older. Billie is definitely among my favorite current alt-pop listens. Hit Me Hard and Soft is probably my least favorite of releases, but the fact it's still in my top albums of the year, although high on the list, I think speaks to its quality. I found 3rd studio album, her first full-length studio album since 2021's Happier Than Ever. Eilish co-wrote it with her brother, of course, and frequent collaborator Phineas, who also produced the album. Nothing new in any of that. We do have her first album up. Me and my daughter Mackenzie, when Mackenzie was much younger, actually reacted to that. Upon release, at universal acclaim from critics, praising the production, songwriting, and vocal performances. I already talked about Metacritic, 89 on Metacritic. Topped the charts in over 20 countries, including Australia, Canada, Germany, Ireland, New Zealand, and the UK. In the US, it debuted at number 2 and charted all 10 of its songs in the top 40 of the Billboard Hot 100. At the 67th Annual Grammy Awards, its album and songs received a total of 7 nominations, including Album of the Year, Best Pop Vocal Album, Song of the Year, and Record of the Year, and the Grammys They love Billie. So Billie on this one is on vocals, keyboards, synth, glockenspiel, vocal editing, and engineering. And pretty much got the same thing with Phineas and throw in drumming, guitars, orchestration, and all of that good stuff. All right, this was the lead single, UK 2, US 5. Let's get it. Okay. A really well done song, very well produced. I can't even get into the lyrics because it'll just make me look like that kind of dude, right? But it's really well done. Next up at number 8, Devin Townsend, a guy that River has brought before and is fantastic. We got Jainism off the Power Nerd album. River says, one of my favorite artists releasing a great album this year is easily put this year pretty high for me music-wise. Another, like many albums on this list, an album I can't really skip any tracks on. I found it's his 22nd studio album. About the album's title, Devin commented, I would say that a power nerd would be somebody that has a tendency that society has deemed weak or not valuable, whether that's empathy or being an insular person or an introvert, and turns that into a type of personal power. He reportedly gave himself only 11 days to write the entire album and 1 day to rehearse it. I mean, that's crazy, right? And he also said, of all the albums he's ever made, it was the most fraught with unexpected sidelines. It was originally meant to feature Eloy Casagrande on drums, Mike Inez on bass, and Wes Hawk on guitar. Unfortunately, by the time of recording, Casagrande had joined Slipknot. Inez had begun touring with Elton John, and we know if you're touring with Elton John, you weren't coming back for years. And Hosh went on to tour with Olivio. Additional, Townsend was hoping to outsource mixing the album as well, but that fell through due to scheduling. Drums for the album were ultimately done by Darby Todd, who learned and recorded all his drums in a single day. So it's almost like Devin put this artificial pressure on himself to finish all this quickly. And that sometimes helps, right? If you're under the gun, some people perform better. And, 20-second studio album, you got to try to throw those things in there to motivate you. All right, Jainism. Incredibly well done, well produced. You can tell this is a professional musician. And the different ambiances and intricacies of the song, from the way the verse is sung to the pre-chorus, which is kind of low-keyed down, into the soaring, emotive chorus, and then we rewind and go through that again. It just really takes you on this up and down journey throughout the song that is just fantastic. All right, well, I said Billie at number 9 was probably the best known, but this might be the best-selling album on here, actually. At number 7, we got the song Noid from Tyler, the Creator, from the album Chromacopia. River says, Tyler, the Creator, and Wolfgang were, when I was in college, my favorite rap group, and I've been following Tyler since his album Goblin. This may be his absolute best album yet, a no-skip album with one banger after another. It's a credit it was hard to pick one song to put forward as a sample off it. Now, this album has a lot of story behind it, and so you're about to hear it, so sorry in advance, but it's got some cool stuff on here. It's a Zay studio album, written, produced, and arranged by Tyler himself. Features guest appearances from Daniel Caesar, Doichi Gorilla, LaToya Williams, Lil Wayne, Childish Gambino, who's absolutely fantastic, Solange, Will Young, Santa Gold, also fantastic, Schoolboy Q, got a little bit of Schoolboy Q up on the channel, Sexy Red, Thundercat, Baby Keem, and Tizo Touchdown, with physical releases of the album additionally featuring Playboy Cardi. Number 1 in Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, Scotland, Switzerland, UK, and the US. I know I went through those fast, but I like to give you those because if you put those on a map, it's on the entire world. I mean, it's everywhere. And most albums don't hit like that. The album blends different genres like hip-hop, jazz, and soul, evocative of Tyler's previous releases, Flower Boy in 2007 and Igor in 2019. Conceptually, it's narrated by Tyler's mother, Benita Smith, as a diary that pieces together Tyler's perspective on past timeline experiences separated by tracks. The album received widespread acclaim from critics who praised the lyricism, cohesiveness, and production, and even noted its messy and confusing nature as a positive. Here's what Tyler said. He said, I was born and raised in LA, Inglewood, Hawthorne to be exact. This album originally started out about growing up in these areas. It was like, oh, no one knows anything about me from before I was 17. Folks are like, oh, he's from the suburbs. No, I was down the street here, and I don't mirror what they expect, so ... But the album now has turned into me taking a bunch of stuff my mom told me as a kid. Now that I'm 33 and all that stuff, it's like, oh, that's what the F she was talking about. Oh, I'm not the guy I was at 20. Like, oh, people are getting older. Folks having kids and families, and all I got's a new Ferrari. and it does feel kind of weird. I'm gaining weight. I've got gray hair on my chest. Life is lifing. I don't know. I just wanted to kind of just write about stuff that I think about when I'm solo. When I'm happy, y'all got a chance to experience it in my hometown. So thanks y'all for coming. So that's what he was kind of telling a crowd at it was at the album release party, actually in Inglewood. He did it at the new arena there that the Clippers built. All right. The album itself earned about 85 million first-day streams on the global Spotify chart, averaging over 6 million streams per song. It makes it the biggest hip-hop album debut of Spotify of 2024 and top 20 of all time. That is a gigantic statement because you're talking about a lot of hip-hop artists out here. In recent years, of course, Kanye before he jumped off of there, K-Dot, and many others. And Drake. I hate to utter his name. It also simultaneously occupied the entire top 14 on the US Spotify chart. So yeah, this is a bigger album than Billie's. Despite being released on Monday, which is not the normal release date, Chromacopia debuted at number 1 on the US Billboard 200 chart, so it didn't have a full week. And it surpassed Call Me If You Get Lost as Tyler's biggest first week sales. The album also marked the biggest debut by units for a rap album released in 2024. And then this song itself was the lead single, Australia 13, UK 16, US 10. It focuses on the paranoia, or the paranoid, that's how you get annoyed, experienced by Tyler as a figure in the public eye. It samples a song by Zambian band Ngozi Family from their 1977 album 45,000 Volts. The vocal sample features singer Paul Ngozi singing in his native Nyanja, that's what I'll go with, language, about being respectful when visiting his home. I know that's a lot of info. Like I said, it is the biggest album on here. It's got a great story. Let's get it. All right, Tyler, the Creator, Noid. So well produced, such a complex song. We got everything in there, and it's kind of about what I told you about. He's even telling, I want to take pictures with you. I've been dealing with this since I was 19, all this stuff. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust that girl. Mom's coming in there telling you, she don't have to F anybody. Don't trust those accounts and try to steal your money. And the musical and sports world and celebrity world is littered with the stories of that, of people's money getting stolen because they trusted the wrong people in charge. So really, really well done. We'll get to the top half of the list. Now, this is number 6. Remember, we're going 6 through 2. We have Hide and Shade by Zio and Ardor off the album Grief, but it's Greif. It's spelled a different way. River said this album and Opera, which is going to be something we're going to have in a little bit here, both came out on my birthday this year. And while this album is higher on the list, it's no slouch. From minute one, I was surprised by Grief. Each track leading to the next felt like not quite what I was expecting from Zio and Ardor, but I think that's a good thing when every album they put out has been so different from the next, with the only underlying match themes being the subject matters and the anger. They're a Swiss avant-garde metal band started and led by Manuel Gagno, a Swiss-American musician who previously created a chamber pop project called Bird Mask. Formed in 2013, the band mixes sounds of African-American spirituals with black metal. That's an interesting dichotomy there. Initially a solo project, the band signed with MVKA Records in 2016 and expanded to a full lineup with Gagno on vocals and guitar, backing vocalist Dennis Wagner and Mark Obrist, guitarist Tiziano Volante, bassist Mia Raffaella Du, drummer Marco von Allman. Du was later replaced by Lucas Kerman. This is their 4th studio album. All right, Zio and Ardor, just a really cool song. Has like a little tendencies of country in there, and obviously you went hard with the scream metal, but just for a second, and nice melodies in there. Just really well done. A really, really intricate song that also takes you on this ride back and forth, as we've had on a couple other songs on here. Really good. Now we're up to number 5. We got the song Sorrow-Filled Moon from Job for a Cowboy off the album, which would be Rivers' number 5 album of the year, Moon Healer. River says, I'm still tempted to put this album higher, but it's such a good album in general. It gets its flowers, and how shocked I was at how much I enjoyed it. Cookie Monster vocals aren't the typical metal I go for. This was a year of experimenting with my taste, and this album was so quality beginning to end. I could not stop coming back to it month after month. I found Job for a Cowboy is an American death metal band, which probably figured with the Cookie Monster vocals, right? Glendale, Arizona, formed all the way back in 2003. This is their 5th studio album. It's the band's first album in nearly 9.5 years, marking the longest gap between releases in the band's history. In 2019, members Johnny Davey, Al Glassman, and Tony Sancarandro formed the death grind band Serpent of Gnosis with the Black Delilah Murder bassist Max Lavelle and Deeds of Flesh drummer Darren Seska. That same year, it was hinted that Job for a Cowboy would be returning with new music and start performing live again, and here we are. All right, A Sorrow-Filled Moon. Job for a Cowboy from the album Moon Healer. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is my style of music because it's just not. But River's an expert on this music. I respect it for what it is. Some great musicianship on this thing. So good choice for number 5. At number 4, we got Pendulum, the song Pendulum by Flesh God Apocalypse off the album Opera, which River has already mentioned. It might be the album that has the most overall effect on me this year, River says. With the passings in my life, I've been thinking about mortality a lot. And this album about the rock climbing accident that never took the life of frontman Francesco Paoli hit me in my gut. The combination of extreme metal and operatic clean singing on various tracks and the tone of these songs, not really telling a story, but the struggle to survive, was an incredibly auditory experience. I found it's their 6th studio album. They're an Italian symphonic death metal band. In March 2024, it's what River was talking about, the band released the album's first single, this one. It chronicles frontman Francesco Paoli's fall while mountain climbing in August of 2021 that caused the band to go on hiatus. Yeah, that'll happen. All right, Flesh God Apocalypse. My favorite part of this is the bridges. We got Veronica Bordacini singing with Francesco and bringing that like beautiful tone in there as he's they're doing a little call and response. But you get when you get what this is about. I mean, it's pretty hardcore. I'm falling down straight to F in hell. I'm dying help. Nobody hears the dead. I mean, trying to relive sort of what he went through is had to be cathartic and traumatic all at the same time. All right, coming in at number 3, we got Poison, Blake Roman, and various artists off the Has-Been Hotel soundtrack. River said, on to the probably most out there pick. I'm a fan of musicals, shocking. I know the person who brings various concept records would find music telling stories interesting. I'm also a massive fan of creator Vivian Medrano and have followed her animation career since before the pilot for this show went to YouTube. Sam Haft, as a musician who wrote much of the music for this, is also a musician I've followed on YouTube for quite some time as the Living Tombstone. This whole soundtrack is part of why I love the show, but the show isn't a slouch either. Obviously, it's rated ME, so viewer discretion. I found this is a song sung by Angel Dust, which is voiced by Blake Roman in the show. The song is featured in Masquerade, the 4th episode of the show's first season. It's about the darkness involved in psychologically abusive relationship combined with how traumatizing a sexually abusive relationship is to a person. The song did chart. It went to 69 in Canada, 55 in the UK, and 23 on the US Hot Alternative Songs. Poison. That was a quick one, only 2 minutes, 8 seconds. I wanted to go on longer. Very good. The lyrics are very well done and very serious, as you can imagine. But, a nice, even though the lyricism is dark, a nice upbeat song that kind of gets you going a little bit. So I enjoyed that. All right. And at number 2 on River's top 10 albums, or really top 11 albums of 2024, we got Ihsahn, This Distance Between Us, off the album Ihsahn. River says, I can't explain how I didn't hear this album sooner, and I'm mad I didn't. Ihsahn doesn't really need any intro to metalheads, not really. Vocalist, guitarist, and founder of the legendary black metal outfit Emperor, Ihsahn's solo work has been far more, in my view, high quality in his early years in the 90s. But this album in particular was incredible. Ihsahn is a Norwegian musician, singer, songwriter, record producer, and composer who's best known, obviously, for his work with black metal group Emperor. He's also a founding member of Thou Shall Suffer, where he played guitar and keyboard in addition to vocal duties, and Peccatum, a project in collaboration with his wife and fellow musician Heidi Solver Vieten, also known as Starofash. Since 2006, he's primarily devoted himself to solo albums and occasional guest appearances. Beyond the characteristics typically associated with metal music, his musical style also includes classical, industrial, and progressive elements. This is his 8th studio album. All right, let's get it. Okay, Ihsahn off the album named for himself. The Distance Between Us, really good song. Love the build on this. Love the instrumentation. His voice is great, well constructed. Perfect choice for, in this case, number 2 on River's top 10/11 albums of 2024. So, as I mentioned at the start, unless you fast forwarded through it, I know some of you boys and girls do, number 1's not going to be on here, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. We're going to build the drama. It's going to get a full album reaction next month. So be back to check that one out. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you my favorite tracks, but I talk about this all the time. It's strange because these are whole albums that River knows very well, and I'm just picking my favorite songs. So it doesn't mean these are the best albums or what I would consider the best albums. I'm just telling you what songs I like the best. So we're going to go with the first song, Keeping Your Memory Alive by Tub Ring, off the album Last and First Men. Jainism, Devin Townsend off Power Nerd. Hide and Shade by Zeal and Ardor off Grief. And This Distance Between Us, the last song, by Ihsahn. So I really enjoyed those. Let me know what your favorites are down below. And also, drop your top 5, 10, 2, 1, 20, whatever albums of 2024. I'm curious what you guys think. Be looking for the video from Trey and I coming at some point in the following weeks. And we also have another couple patrons who have brought their top 10s. It's always interesting to see other people. I have some albums I'm adding to my list to listen to for that year end as well off of this one. Thanks to River for bringing it. If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And until next time, guys, I will see you.